but I've got one more question for you all that I think it's actually a good one, because of course I wrote it. No, just kidding. But really, what is the best strategy to handle slurs, racial epithets that we might hear in public? Not in both as the recipient as well as perhaps maybe being the observer. How should we handle that? What should we do? Any best practices? How can we take those steps as community members to repair the world?
Well, Dina, I have to say we have undergone at Crane House some bystander training. There are things that you can do as a bystander. If you encounter a victim being verbally abused or attacked or who's experiencing some hate, one thing that we've learned is that you don't encounter the abuser, because that could lead to horrible things. What we recommend is just make sure that if you hear these racial slurs, make sure you speak directly to the person who's the victim and let them know that you're there to support them. Those are things that we advocate with our bystander training.
I think that's really good advice. Obviously, there are a lot of approaches one can take, and I think that was a very good one that Joel said, because it can be a little bit dicey to confront someone who you may not know, whether they're armed, whether they're abusive. They can lead to some violence. But I think my piece of advice is, so often, we hear rhetoric and then it manifests into what's seemingly like a benign joke or comment. And it can be said in a lot of contexts, amongst friends, at a dinner party, at a cocktail party, hopefully not at a workplace, but it can, right? And we've all read and seen these just horrible emails that can ruin a politician's career, someone else's career. And good. I think there has to be consequences, right? Not to be confused with cancel culture, but consequences, right? And so I think my piece of advice is to just ensure that you're not surrounding yourself or creating an environment amongst friends, colleagues, or whomever else, that these small, seemingly jabs, jokes, microaggressions, I've used this word a couple of times today and I'm exhausting it a little bit, but making sure that you get at those early, because they really can create a snowball effect. And, I think it's a good reminder to those people whom we surround ourselves with, so that when we're not around them, they may be a bit more self-conscious about it and don't let it roll off their tongues quite as easily.